BMW race in order to improve the performance of their road cars, establish the sporting image of the BMW car. BMW offers for its sales the sporting aspect. I don't know if this sounds noisy to you, but there's a hell of a row going on here.
At BMW, the same engineers who are working on the racing engines are also working on the production engines. And for example, the racing engineers, they are always under heavy time pressure. So the engineers have really to work flat out, and they have to have unique ideas to come very fast to a good result. The result has to be more power. And they can handle their normal engineering problems for the production much easier. And I think that's the main difference between a company like BMW and a company who goes racing only for PR reasons and hasn't got the technical high standard in their normal production cars.
BMW personnel from the board downwards are not just motor car manufacturers, they are enthusiasts.
They all like driving cars. They don't like to be transported from one place to the other. They all have fun to drive cars.
If you have an executive who likes to ride as a passenger on the rear seat of a limousine, he will try to build a vehicle which is meant for this purpose. If you have a man who loves driving, he will have engineered and produced a car which is especially for the driver. I think that a company which builds motorcycles and cars will certainly have a certain influence from the particular behavior of motorcycles on the behavior of the cars. These cars will be quicker.
The board of directors, of course, has to be enthusiastic about the car too. All our directors drive our cars themselves for long distance and are our most expensive test drivers.
Very few, if any, other manufacturer in the world today who produces what is basically a standard-looking sedan car with the performance and handling. I ran BMWs on the road for many, many years before I became actively involved with them. And this was the very reason. I wanted a car that I could drive on the street that didn't attract undue attention from the forces of law and order. I wanted a car I could take the family in, but I wanted a car that had a high performance at the same time. The finest road-going sedan for family use that is also has the performance or greater performance than very many sports cars.
The engine is the life of the car. The driver feels the power on the smoothness, and every characteristic of the engine. If he is fond of driving, he is very fond to have a good engine. It's therefore very important that the designer of the engine is a good driver himself and feels what is wanted from the engine. When I got the order to design this engine, nobody thought about racing, but to tell the truth, I did. Therefore, I designed the engine so strong and so effective that it really could be used for racing later on. And for production, this engine was also good because it was very strong and had a long life in normal street use. It was therefore a very modern engine with overhead camshaft, V-valves and 5-bearing crankshaft. At that time, these things were only used for a racing engine and nobody had it in production.
BMW, the Bavarian Motor Works in Munich, has a very old tradition in producing engines, especially engines for aircrafts, engines for motorcycles and engines for motor cars. The heart of our product, our engine is the heart of our motor car.
Nichts ist so gut, als dass man es nicht noch besser machen kann. Which means in English, nothing is that good that one could not make it better.
The smoothness of the engine depends on many things, on the mechanical parts, on the combustion chamber shape, on the fuel injection. And here we are testing now a new combustion chamber for the 1978 model. The difference in the combustion chamber is a new form for better exhaust emission and better fuel economy.
This is our racing coupe here. We entered it at the 24 hours at Le Mans and also at the 6-hour race at Silverstone. This car has got a normal 6-cylinder engine, which is used in the, for example, in the 633 coupe. But of course, it's modified quite a lot. This engine is turbocharged and it's producing about 800 horsepower. By the way, BMW was a company, the first one, I think, which did build a turbocharged engine in production in the 2002. And of course, we are learning from this, and we are developing this engine in racing, and we are proving it. And the same engineers which are working on this engine are responsible for production engines as well. This shows that we get a lot of experience out of racing, which we use in production as well.
It has a big influence on the spirit of the company too. All workers and engineers are very fond of their work and they are proud of successes in racing.
In my very early races in the beginning, I was driving so sideways because I really want to be very quick that people used to say when I came in for a pit stop, the mechanics, they didn't have to clean the windshield, they only had to clean the doors because all the dirt and the bugs were on the side because of my sideways driving. So they said, this guy is really crazy, he's ruining all the tires, the suspensions, and he's running over the curbs, and they don't want to have me as a racing driver. But then finally, I convinced them by my way of driving, and it worked out quite good.
I was born in Munich, and when I was a boy, I became very interested in motorcycles and cars. And there was one famous motor company in Munich that was Bayerische Motorenwerke. Of course, I was very interested in it, and I often took my cycle and went out to the factory that was at that time far out of the city and had a look at the works and at motorcycles. Erinnerst du dich noch, George, vor über 40 Jahren waren wir hier und haben...
40 years ago, we were here to test our engines for the 6-day race.
Ja, das war gleich auf der anderen Seite, kann ich mir erinnern.
Yes, right over there. My first race was Hockenheim in 1937.
37 in Hockenheim.
Ja, ja.
And then you went to the European Championships.
That was 1938.
And then there was your big success in the tourist trophies.
Meine Freunde sagten...
My friend said I only won the tourist trophy because my brakes didn't work.
You really were an expert in the BMW.
I was expert because I wouldn't drive anything else, that's why.
That's why BMW hired you. You beat everybody. You were a terrific go-getter.
Yes, I was a mad dog.
Ein verrückter Hund, aber ich muss zum Prost einmal, das erste Mal Prost, gell?
What attracts most people at BMWs is, number one, the obvious. The image we have as a young, dynamic company with an equally young and dynamic product.
And for me, this factory, BMW, with its famous motorcycles, was some kind of an aim, some kind of encouragement to learn at school to become an engineer even. And so I think it's almost a dream come true, without telling our board that they should think it wouldn't be necessary to pay me too much money.
I think the reason for the big success of our company is that our people, the people who are working for us, are dedicated to their task, dedicated to the targets we have set.
This company is growing, thus offering good career possibilities for the man that wants to work.
I've been with BMW for 20 years, first as a turner and then with the apprenticeship program.
I've found that the apprenticeships here are very good and are valued by other companies too. I've been thinking that after my apprenticeship and my military service, which I have to do, I might look around at other companies to see what they're doing. And then I'll think about coming back to BMW for more training here.
It's my job to see that guys like you become good, skilled workers with a sense of responsibility who like their work.
BMW is a very small company, but therefore they can have the best people all over the world to work with them. They're also having people that worked before at other companies like Porsche or Mercedes. They have real specialists. They have the cream of them all.
I think Munich is one of the greatest places in the world. Everybody who is creative likes to come here and possibly stay here. I think to be able to build a new car, to design it, you've got to be creative. And Munich is just the right kind of environment for that.
Because the people at BMW, being perhaps Bavarians, most of them, there's illustrated in their progressive outlook on the cars, but also they're real characters in their own right.
Yeah, you know, I'm a Bavarian.
Feedback coming from motorsport to production. And there are many details which are proved in motorsport which are going into production. But I do not think this is the main thing. I think the main thing is, we have a German expression for this, ein Unternehmen ist wie ein Mensch. Ist es sportlich und durchtrainiert, dann ist es leistungsfähig. It means factory is like a human being. Is it well trained and sporty, it's more powerful or more progressing.
The thing that is so different with BMW and the other companies is that the competition side comes very much together with production. The people that are concerned in BMW with a lot of the motor race side are also the people that are preparing the production parts, particularly in the engine department, of course, where the designers that design the competition engines literally do design the engines for the road cars as well.
Here at the BMW Motorsport GmbH, we have two departments. One is the engineering department, where we do the development and the racing side, and the other one is the sales department. For example, we did build up to now 220 Formula 2 engines, and we did sell them to customers. These customers are racing, of course, on their own expenses. So we make money on this side as well. Also, we sell tuning kits and we sell gearboxes and tuned engines.
Everyone seems united within the whole competitions department, producing cars that are really competitive. automotive. They're very dedicated and very professional.
Normally there isn't so much free time for us, because very often during the week there are late evenings in the office or in the factory. When I am free, I like to drive a motorcycle. I am trying to be with my family and to have fun with our vehicles. My wife takes our little daughter out to some of the beautiful southern Bavarian lakes. I will join them after office hour, and very often my little daughter, with her 5 years, loves to sit on a heavy bike only for some 100 yards. Normally, I love to ride as fast as road and bike's conditions allow, but with the responsibility of your family on the bike, there are certain limits to the speeds you are using.
On the technical side, the highest level we ever can achieve, and to be prepared to race these cars, these very fast cars, on the human side, on the driver's side, we have to have the same preparation. And for concentration, for example, we have a program. We have all our drivers together, and we simulate one lap on a circuit like Watkins Glen, for example. I give the start, and then the driver close their eyes, and they drive around the circuit. They think they're driving, and when they come to the finish line, they take their hands off, and I time it in the meantime. And if they're good, if they learn the circuit very good, they come exactly the same time like they're racing normally.
I'm driving a special car, a 2.5, modified with a 3.3 engine and special suspension, and it's a car. In Austria, it's not allowed to drive this car on the road, but anyway, I get a special permission to use this car also on the road. And my whole family is using BMW. My wife is driving a 2002. My father's driving a BMW, and also my brother.
I got one of the very first 2002s into England, and from then on, I was in love with BMWs. So I've owned 5 2002s, 2 3-litre fuel-injected sedans, one 530i, and at this moment a 320i.
I myself drive a BMW 525, but a very special one. It's got a different engine, the engine of the 633 CSI, with 220 horsepower.
The standard car is capable of having this sort of horsepower. The only modification we do, we change the brakes, we change the suspension, we have harder springs, harder shock absorbers, and that's it.
For me, it's the most quickest and the most best car I've ever driven in the world.
You don't see from the outside that it's a sport car, but you feel it from the inside.
Now, this is a 6-cylinder engine. It was made on the same lines and with many parts of the 4-cylinder engine. Therefore, it's good for racing too, I think. What is special on this engine is the crankshaft. It has 7 main bearings and 12 counterweights, and therefore it runs very smoothly. Also new is the combustion chamber. That is called in Germany the Drei-Wirbel-Wannen-Brennraum. That means it has 3 hemispherical chambers.
Here in this laboratory, which is a vibration laboratory, we test and optimize the suspension of our cars before we put the car on the test track. We try to put every system of the car in a shape so there is active safety. We mean the driver should always have a certain amount of reserve in the car. We use our test track to evaluate cars.
Now there are 3 elements: the driver, the car, and the road. The driver has to control a complicated machine, and we try to give him the best control of this machine during different conditions and in different situations. And while doing this, we test this safety reserve, and that's active safety, giving the driver an instrument with which he could avoid an accident.
If If I drive in a racing car like this, I drive always 100%. There's nothing left. There's no more safety. If I drive in a BMW road car, I know I have reserves. I don't see them, but I know they are here. Maybe I need them only once in a year, but then I know they are there and they can save my life.
The cars are very cleverly engineered. When you drive a BMW, immediately you get in it, you're comfortable in it. You don't need time to become used to a new car, and I'm referring now to the production car, not the racing car. Immediately, the car feels right.
It is true that we have an outstanding product, and fortunately, I don't think so alone. Our customers think so. Our products have an outstanding performance. We are sporty and we are luxury in the same time.
When I was 10 years old, I had the wish that my father buy a BMW, but he didn't. I'd ask me always why he didn't. Maybe he thinks it is too sportly or more too expensive. And the war comes and the war goes again. And then I had the idea to spend me this dream of myself for self. And I thought I have to buy such a car. So I bought the first BMW. And then, as all collectors, I had the idea the next one, or maybe another one. These cars are very good cars, and they are sportly, and they are very elegant.
BMW had produced always a special kind of motor car, a car with high performance and with a lot of sporty performance. We want to sell our products to a special kind of customers.